Cold open. Dale Werner was 34, recently divorced, and 2 months behind on rent when the recruiter found him at Denny's, nursing a coffee refill he wasn't going to pay extra for. Dale had spent 12 years fixing HVAC systems in Ohio, which qualified him for exactly nothing in the eyes of the universe. Until, apparently it didn't. "We need someone for a survey mission," the recruiter said, sliding into the booth uninvited. "Remote location hazardous. Compensation is substantial." "How hazardous?" "Statistically, most who go don't return." Dale stirred his coffee. "That's not really an answer." "No," the recruiter agreed. "It isn't." Dale shrugged and signed the form on the placemat. "Sure, beats the HVAC business." Warning scene. The briefing room smelled like ozone and bad decisions. A tall, gray-skinned official named Threll stood behind a podium that projected a hologram of a planet wrapped in swirling toxic clouds. "Human Werner, I must be direct. The mission destination, designated Carvex 9, has a mortality rate of 91% among trained operatives. Atmospheric toxicity, gravitational anomalies, apex predators with no known weakness. 3 full military units have vanished there without a distress signal." Dale nodded slowly, chewing gum he'd smuggled onto a government transport. 91%, huh? So basically Ohio winters, but with more paperwork. Threll blinked, unsure if that was a joke. "This is not comparable to weather." "You'd be surprised." Threll's antennae twitched, the alien equivalent of a headache. He gathered his files, turned, and paused at the door. "Don't blame me," he said, "if you come back in a box." "Wouldn't dream of it," Dale said, already looking for the vending machine. Squad introduction. The transport bay held 4 other operatives, and Dale was fairly sure he was the only one in. The room without a body count. Attached to his resume. First was Vorishing, a Threxian war captain nearly 9 feet tall, his skin plated in natural chitin armor that could reportedly stop small arms fire. He'd led the siege of 3 fortress moons and single-handedly held a collapsing space station together and with his bare hands for 6 hours until evacuation completed. He looked at Dale the way a wolf looks at a golden retriever wearing a name tag. Second was Quetzalcoatl, a willowy Ilmiran with translucent, faintly glowing skin and 6 narrow eyes arranged around her skull, giving her total 360-degree vision. She was a decorated xenobiologist who'd cataloged 400 confirmed apex predator species and survived encounters with all of them. She studied Dale like he was a specimen she hadn't classified yet, mostly because he was. Third was Doskol Pry, a squat, barrel-chested grunion whose skin secreted a natural acid-resistant mucus. He'd once walked through an active, volcanic vent to retrieve black box data from a downed ship. His combat record listed 41 confirmed void pirate kills. He didn't so much talk as rumble. Fourth was Isenu, a lean insectoid Chivtari scout with retractable claws and compound eyes that could see in 12 wavelengths humans didn't have names for. She'd infiltrated a hostile hive world, alone, and extracted 3 hostages without triggering a single alarm. And then there was Dale, no claws, no plating, no acid mucus, no 400 documented kills. Just a guy in a jumpsuit 2 sizes too big, holding a granola bar he'd found in his jacket pocket from 3 weeks ago. "This is the human," Vorash said, not quite a question. "Reporting for duty," Dale said, saluting with the granola bar. Quetzal's 6 eyes all narrowed at once, an expression Dale would later learn meant, "This cannot be correct." "He has no augmentations," she said. "No natural armor, no claws. His skin appears as soft." "It's called skin," Dale offered. "We all have it. Some of us tan." Vorash exhaled through the vents in his neck, a sound like a deflating tire. "The High Command sends us a soft-skinned creature with no visible defenses for a Level 9 extraction mission. To be fair," Dale said, "I do have decent upper body strength. 12 years of hauling AC units up ladders." Nobody understood that sentence. Nobody asked him to clarify. Comedy escalation loop. "The planet's lower atmosphere," Quetzal explained as the ship descended, "contains ambient toxin, levels 400 times the lethal threshold for most carbon-based life. Full-body seals are mandatory." Dale considered this. "So like a Chicago summer, but the air's mad at you instead of just humid." Quetzal's eyes rotated in unison. This is not a joke, human. Exposure causes organ failure within 90 seconds. Sure, still sounds like August. Vorash's jaw plates clicked together, his version of alarm. The terrain features gravitational fluctuation zones, Doscall rumbled. One moment you weigh what you should. The next you weigh 4 times as much, then nothing at all. It has crushed armored vehicles. Ah, Dale said. Like when the elevator drops a floor before catching itself. Except my whole body's the elevator. That comparison is insufficient, Quetzal said. It's the best I've got. Aisenu's compound eyes flickered. The Chivtari version of a slow blink of disbelief. There is an apex predator native to this region. Aisenu hissed through her translator. Known as the Vralthorn. It hunts by scent, is nearly silent, and its bite carries a neurotoxin that liquefies muscle tissue in under a minute. Dale nodded thoughtfully. So basically my ex-mother-in-law at Thanksgiving. The translator paused, glitching slightly. The comparison did not translate. Good. Something shouldn't. Vorash stared at him for 4 full seconds. You are either very brave or catastrophically stupid. Jury's still out, Dale admitted. The soil itself is corrosive, Quetzal continued, voice rising with something close to panic. Standard boots dissolve within 6 hours of surface contact. We must use reinforced alloy footwear rated for acidic terrain. Huh, Dale said, glancing at his own work boots. Steel toes. Should be fine then. Had these since '09. That is not remotely the same category of protection. We'll find out. Doscall made a low, worried rumble that translated roughly to a groan. There are electromagnetic storms, Vorash said, gripping the ship's railing as turbulence rocked them, capable of frying neural implants and disabling starcraft mid-flight. 3 ships were lost to them last cycle. Dale glanced out the viewport at the churning purple clouds. Storm's coming, huh? Better bring in the lawn chairs. There are no lawn chairs on this vessel. Figure of speech, big guy. Vorash's chitin plates rattled. Something. Quetzal later logged as the war captain's first documented moment of existential doubt. Arrival and world reveal. Carvex 9 hit them like a slap the moment the ramp lowered. The sky churned a sickly violet, streaked with lightning that crawled sideways instead of down. The ground steamed faintly. Glowing veins of mineral acid pulsing beneath a crust of black glass-like rock. Wind screamed through jagged spires in the distance. A sound like the planet itself was in pain. Vorash's armor plating audibly strained. Servos whining under gravitational load that spiked without warning. Quetzal's environmental suit hissed. With 3 separate seal alarms within the first minute. Doscall's mucus coating bubbled and steamed where the corrosive air ate at it faster than his biology could replenish it. Aisenu's compound eyes flickered erratically. Overwhelmed by wavelengths of radiation, the suit couldn't fully filter. Dale stepped off the ramp in his jumpsuit, boots crunching on glass rock, and squinted up at the sky. Huh, he said. Reminds me of Cleveland in February. Nobody responded. They were all too busy checking whether their equipment was failing. Environmental readings, Quetzal gasped. Voice strained through her translator.
Should be causing the human immediate cellular damage.
He had unaffected. Dale rolled his shoulders, mildly stiff from the flight. Bit windy. Otherwise fine. Vorash turned slowly, chitin creaking. You are not wearing a sealed suit. Didn't think I'd need one. Dale patted his jacket pockets. Should have brought a windbreaker, though. The 4 aliens exchanged a long, uncertain silence, the kind that suggested the mission briefing had left out something extremely important, namely, whatever Dale Werner actually was, the Acid Marsh. The squad's readings flagged a marsh ahead, its surface a shimmering, deceptively still lake of concentrated acid runoff. Doscall deployed a full hazard protocol, grapple lines, reinforced planking, a slow 20-minute crossing procedure requiring 3 checkpoints. Dale looked at the marsh, looked at a fallen tree analog nearby, and simply rolled it across as a makeshift bridge, walking over it in under 90 seconds. That's how we cross mud back home, he explained. Works the same, mostly. Quetzal logged the moment in her field journal with visible reluctance. Subject bypassed to Class 4. Hazard using what he described as a log. Efficacy, total. Explanation, unsatisfying. The static fields, electromagnetic static fields rolled across the plateau, capable of stopping hearts through armor plating. The squad's protocol required a full hour of grounding rods, insulated cabling, and staggered movement. Dale, Noting the static made his arm hair stand up exactly like touching a Van de Graaff generator at a science museum, simply shuffled his feet like he was avoiding a rug shock and walked straight through. Static electricity, he said. Just don't touch metal doorknobs till it passes. Vorash's log entry that night read, in part, the human treats planetary scale electromagnetic phenomena as a minor household inconvenience. I do not understand him. I am beginning to suspect I am not meant to. The Vrelthorn nest. Isenu detected a nest of the very predator she'd warned Dale about earlier. A den of Vrelthorns, silent hunters with liquefying neurotoxin bites. Full combat protocol activated. Weapons hot. Formation tight, retreat routes mapped. Dale instead crouched low. Made himself big and slow like he'd once done facing down an angry raccoon in his garage, and calmly backed the group out of the den's territory without a single confrontation. Don't run, he whispered. Running's what makes 'em chase. The Vrelthorns, astonishingly, did not chase. Quetzal stared at the retreating predators, then at Dale, then back at the predators, 6 eyes wide with something between awe and dread. The gravity well. The squad hit a gravitational anomaly zone, the same kind that had crushed armored vehicles, according to Doskol's earlier warning. The team roped together, moving in careful 3-second bursts between gravity spikes, sweating through every step. Dale, feeling the pull tug at him unevenly, simply widened his stance and leaned into it like walking on a boat. Deck in rough water. A trick from a fishing trip with his uncle a decade prior. He crossed the zone whistling, hands in his pockets. By this point, nobody bothered questioning it anymore. Doskol's log entry simply read, human confirmed indestructible. Reason unknown. Morale improving. Confusion, also improving somehow in the wrong direction. Status flip. The formation had quietly changed. Varash, who once led, now waited half a step behind Dale before any decision. Quetzal stopped narrating hazards and instead simply asked, human thoughts? Doskol had started mimicking Dale's slow, unbothered walk, badly. He is not weak, Varash said quietly to Isenu one evening, watching Dale skip a rock across a pool of what was technically molten silicate. He is simply calibrated for something we do not understand. Agreed, Isenu said. I no longer fear this planet. I fear what he considers normal. Cliffhanger close. On the 13th night, the sky above Carvex 9 split open, not with lightning, but with something deliberate. A low, resonant tone rolled across the plateau, and every scanner on the team lit up red simultaneously. That is not a natural phenomenon, Quetzal said, voice tight. Varash raised his weapon toward the horizon, where the black glass ground had begun to hum, vibrating in perfect rhythm with the tone. Something is waking up. Dale finished the last bite of a 3-week-old granola bar, brushed the crumbs off his jumpsuit, and looked toward the horizon with mild, unhurried curiosity. Huh, he said. That's new. The ground cracked. Something ancient and very large began to rise.